Hello, and welcome to Your Worst Nightmare, another RPG actual play podcast. Solotude, a journaling RPG podcast, is just me in a room, not to brag, with a journal, a solo RPG, and some damn good coffee. I play to see what happens in the story, write in my fictional journal, and you get to hang out next to me by the fire. My name is Auri. Welcome. I hope you enjoy our time together. This episode is a dramatic journal entry reading for the prompts we got to in the previous episode. Some things might have changed a little bit from the decisions made in the episode, since I've had a bit of time to collect my thoughts and write stuff down. This is Solotude. We do what in the shadows? Prompt 39. Getting Ahead. November 1707. I can't take it anymore. He won't shut up. He just won't. His criticisms have long ago lost their audience in my tower. I just can't humor him any longer. He tries to prove through discussion that I am actually wrong about everything. Just last week, as I went to sleep, I sighed, I wish I could see the sunrise once again. Socrates jumped on that immediately, asking, what exactly constitutes a wish? I just put him in his box, shoved the box in a bag, and left it on the balcony. As a deep slumber took me, I still heard him going, for if you wish it and can achieve it, is it truly a wish? Even if Socrates is at times insufferable, he is not unwise. Every now and then there's a faint glimmer of truth hidden in his words. Just today, he was talking about how in his time sweets weren't nearly as sweet as they are now. Back in the day, they just gobbled up nuts. These days, the kids won't gobble up anything that isn't glazed with honey. No one can appreciate the feeling of a raw nut in their mouth anymore. And then he said, so we must adapt. Collaboration between all different kinds of nut enjoyers is the pillar of a good society. Also laws. I think he's onto something. Although he is the single most annoying head I've ever known. He has threatened to kill me if I don't let him out of the box every day. So I do. But since he doesn't have his philosopher lackeys to carry him anywhere, there's not much he can do. I suppose I do sympathize with his condition a little bit. A once proud creature, in a way a shell of his former glory. A husk of a life well lived, waiting to sprout new life. But nothing good grows without roots. He told me a little bit about the Philosopher's Symposium, as it was before its downfall by the skull crushers of the well-muscled arse. It was an international organization whose purpose was to keep the darkness at bay, using reason and well-oiled weaponry. Nobody suspects a philosopher. There is truth in that. A philosopher can move in society unnoticed. He can say whatever, write whatever, and he'll never leave a mark in history. The perfect cover until it wasn't. I'm sorry for the old man. For how he became a living head, he will not answer me. Our goals are aligned, and we can both see that. It is only rational that we stay together. He knows everything about the undead and is very good at coming up with defense strategies. Besides, Renee entrusted me with him, and that's a trust I'm not about to betray. I would look after him, and I had a feeling he would actually do his best to look after me too. Alf Loki Skeletonson, 153 years old. Prompt 38. Escape from Europe. April 1777. I am now resting for what feels like the first time in my life. I have found a new home in a new world. The United States is full of hope, optimistic. In my estimate, Europe isn't long for this world. The death throes echo in Versailles, where the royalty are treated like trash. The Pope has twisted the message of Christianity to that of violence, bigotry, and evil. It used to be just violence and bigotry. 70 years being pursued by a devil who needs no rest. A mechanical monstrosity, a whirlwind of buzzsaws, springs, strange acidic liquids, and an obsession towards violence. He is my eternal nemesis. My sins become flesh. It will not rest until I am torn asunder. I know I am safe here, even though there is a war going on. The war of humans is child play in the face of absolute eternal torment, which they know nothing of. I shall recount my history with this natural disaster. I have heard others call it the 18th century evil Robocop. I refer to it as the Eater of Worlds, as I'm unsure what a Robocop is. These are my 70 years of being pursued by it. Years 1 through 5. The Mediterranean. After the monster awakened and began pursuing me, René Descartes, my beloved, said that he would find a way to stop the thing, but that he needed time. I needed to flee. I sailed the seas and thought I'd soon be rid of it. How naive I was. I traveled to the biggest island nearby, Sardinia, and tried to disappear into the urban life there. I was soon given shelter by a woman, a barber, who complimented my thick black mane and said I could live in her basement if she could shave it off for a wig. I wasn't happy about it, but I'd sooner have my hair cut than my neck. She was very eager to invite me in. She had a look in her eyes that could only mean two things: hate or confusion caused by recent masturbation. I always had trouble telling the two apart. I wrongly assumed the reason was the latter. When it came time to have my hair cut, I sat in her barber's chair and she stood high above me. Suddenly her expression changed. I assumed it meant a shift in her masturbatory needs. She attacked me and tried to strangle me by the neck, and God, was she strong! She pushed me deep into the chair, then on the side table, against the ceiling. What supernatural need for masturbation was this? No, wait. I finally realized this was anger. Her body became incorporeal and her grip of me loosened. Her hair was floating in the air as if she was submerged in water or blood, for a metallic smell filled the room as her translucent body began to decompose right in front of me. Her rotting teeth made way for a widened smile. She said she would have her revenge. She knew me in life and had been waiting for me for nearly 200 years. She was long dead, but refused to move on to the afterlife because of me. I pleaded. What had I done? Had I murdered her family? Was she the little girl whose mother I ate piece by piece in front of her? The young man I enslaved briefly to write jokes for me in my basement? Perhaps his sister? No, she whispered. Far worse. You owed me a small bit of money for some rings and makeup, and you never paid me back. I thought my sins weighed on my back as heavy as the cross on Christ's, but this would have broken the Messiah's spine. I offered my neck. Perhaps it was time to pay my debts in full. It seemed like the right thing to do. Right when she was about to exact her revenge, 18th century evil Robocop burst through the door with such force that her ghostly apparition was squashed between the wall and door. My respite was brief, as I had to get away again. I got to a few islands in the Mediterranean before I noticed the Eater of Worlds would not give up easily. Years 5 through 20, I was shocked to see my René had grown old. And with the Philosopher's Symposium in shambles, he was like a blind man leading other blind men into the Blind Man Convention in Blindsville, Blinddania. He met me in Cairo just as he promised. His expression was grim. There was likely no way to stop the monster. It is the result of magic and technology combined, of both robo and cop, merged in an unholy union of retributive justice. I got comfortable in Cairo. René was able to get me small animals to feed on, and so we fought the were-crocodiles and witches in the night. I could do my fair share of the fighting, but to my dismay, René's movement had become slow and uncertain. He could only do one flip per jump anymore. One night, our erotically charged roleplay of Vampire Hunter and the Pope was interrupted. Glass shattered as I saw an enormous pipe, not René's, but one of metal construction, raised by the balcony door. It had come. Again, not René, but the monster. It raised its flamethrower leg and said, "Hellfire to those who break their oaths." The fire's judgment swallowed us. But I didn't feel the burn. I saw only black. My face felt itchy. Something coarse was protecting me. It was my darling philosopher, who had shielded my body with his protective mullet. The rich fibers he had been growing for this precise purpose were now being sacrificed at the altar of love. I caught his eyes. I said, "Thank you, my love." He answered, and with respect to his memory, I won't do his accent. I have always been skeptical about everything in this world, but I have always believed in you. I love you. Therefore, I will always be. He threw me out the window with the last strands of his soul patch, and I ran into the night. I was alone. Well, Socrates was there, but you know what I mean. Then I heard a travel agent round up some passengers on a long voyage. They were going to Austria, to a monastery. The travel agent wore monk's robes and was an enormous man. Apparently, this is how they found new members. I remember reading an old diary entry of mine that I had once lived in a monastery. Perhaps that would be my salvation, as it had been for many. Years 20 through 21. I only spent one cold winter in the monastery before everything went terribly wrong. My body itched and burned all the time during my time there. But that was not the worst of all. I should have seen the signs that this was a place of ill repute. There were dumbbells everywhere. Praying was encouraged to be done via the big three, the Trinity: bench pressing, squatting, and deadlifting. The monks here were absolutely swole with Jesus. I at least should have connected the dots and figured out where I had ended up when I saw the huge sign on top of the church roof saying, "Golds." Also, they sold an impressive amount of merchandise and literature there. The Pope's book about effective praying, called Pumping Iron and Other Nutrients from the Blood of Your Victims, had gotten rave reviews among the monks. But they were clearly brainwashed. I had to escape both the monastery and this religion I had held on to. I had lived as a devout Catholic for as long as I could remember. Probably hell of a lot longer. I might be the first saint to give up my faith. My God. This world is not the creation of a benevolent God. It is the result of a cruel crime, only whispered of in the dirtiest corner of a cosmic jail cell. This is hell, and I'm the spawn of the Overlord. Sainthood didn't mean anything if a pope like Glutius Maximus could bestow it. Praying didn't mean anything for a god who accepted bicep curls as a suitable form of showing respect and humility. It's 1727. Who even does bicep curls anymore? Compound lifts or go home, bro. I left before the monster could find me there, and I embraced who I truly was, as I had done so long ago. I don't understand why I had hidden my cravings for so long. Why should I let my claws grow dull? The devil created predators for a purpose, for predating. Years 21 through 50. This 30 years is but a hazy dreamscape of a memory which my mind's eye is incapable of focusing upon. I remember living in caves, forests, under bridges, in small settlements, a few bigger cities. I mostly remember appearing as a friendly guide to humans on the road, lost in the wilderness, or just hanging around in spooky locations. I replenished my spirit during this time. I drank and ate my belly full. I had to keep moving every time I started hearing rumors about the Eater of Worlds drawing near. Years 50 to 70. For pretty much the past 20 years, I lived in different parts of Russia, but there was one place in St. Petersburg I called home for more than half of it. The Mrak family, a family of vampires. There were 4 of us, me, the oldest, so father, Tatiana, the mother, mine and Tatiana's brother, called Yussi, and our little baby girl, Alice. At the beginning it was merely playing house, but rather quickly it was just being house. Me and Tatiana would teach Alice about the world, to read literature and philosophy, play the forte piano. She would pout and ask for a kitty cat, and me and Tatiana, we would say no. But then, late at night in bed, we would have a discussion about it. We concluded if we found a vampire cat, it could come live with us. In reality, both of us knew such a thing probably didn't exist. Jussi was Swedish and drunk most of the time. He had a little room in the back of our house where he would clamor about. He was a poet for a while, then a prophet for a little bit. None of these jobs interfered with his drinking, though. On the contrary, they seemed to encourage it. And Tatiana was my companion. There was never anything sexual between us, but we enjoyed each other's company, like mothers and fathers do. We alternated on whose turn it was to hunt, who had to be tougher on Alice, who enabled Jussi to keep drinking. I wish I could have gotten married at some point in my life. I would have treated my wife like a goddess. I would have given her my everything. But if this little game of house is all I receive, I am truly grateful for it. One day, though, this world we built was eaten by it. Little Alice, Jussi, Tatiana, our house on the outskirts of town, all burned away by the ultimate executioner. I fled again. And now I am here in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, United States of America. I had a dialogue with Socrates, and he helped me come up with an idea. I had received information that my fleshy cousins, the meat pile creatures from my biological mother's side, resided here in America. So we came here, looking for them. We settled here in a big city so I can feed without arousing too much suspicion. Socrates still thinks I'm a vegetarian. I just put him in the box every time I make a mess and tell him a deer walked into my mouth. He's extremely gullible for a guy so smart, because his whole thing is about asking questions and not knowing anything himself. He famously doesn't know anything, except the fact that he knows nothing. So it's mad easy to lie to him. He believes everything. If he asks a question, just don't answer it, and you're fine. Our plan is to contact the American Philosophical Society, formed a while back here in Philadelphia, by a local philosopher big shot named Benjamin Franklin. Socrates says this Franklin and his society is the Western equivalent to the symposium in the old world. Perhaps he can help us find my family. And for God's sakes, one day get rid of this cop robo pursuing me. But Franklin mustn't know my true identity. No one can know. I shall become the shadow that used to walk behind me. While immigrating, they made me lose one of my names. Loki Skeletonson, 223 years old. Thanks for listening, folks. My name is Auri Itämäki, and Solotude is my personal project. I hope you enjoyed this episode. You can follow Solotude on Instagram at Solotude Show, and if you got something to say, drop a message or comment. Please rate and review the show so people can find it a little bit easier. Tell a friend who might be interested. It would be awesome if more people found the show. Additional episode music and sound effects, Epidemicsound, theme song, me. Solotude drops every week. Every other week, there's an actual play episode, and on the off weeks, I'll do a proper journal reading with music and sound effects, just like this one. Thanks again for listening, everybody. See you next week. Bye.